Welcome to Desmos calculator training for the Atlas Algebra 1 end of course exam. We are now at their official Arkansas Teaching and Learning System assessment site. To get a link to this page, check in the show notes and then join me. Click on sign in. For grade level, you're going to select 9 and then you're going to select ELA Math Science Practice Tests. And then the one we want is Mathematics Algebra Practice Test. Now when you get to this page, you're just going to click Select. For the video sound, I think we want to skip this TTS check. Let's see if it'll let us. No, it's going to make us play this. So play this and then click I could play the sound. It makes you do it. I'm sorry. All right, let's begin the test now. Now we are going to have to skip forward, and unfortunately this is impossible in this test. This is an adaptive test that do not let you skip questions. So I'm just going to randomly be putting answers in here, so please don't get upset, but we do need to start on question number 6. So I'll do 2 to the x plus 5, and then it tell me to move it, so I guess I can just minus 8, and that's cool. All right, so we'll go to next. And we're supposed to graph points in here, so I'm just going to put a bunch of points. Okay, next. The domain of the function is, I don't think all integers, but I'm going to put it anyway. And then 5, we'll just put 1, 1. All right, so here we are. I'm on, and no, you don't want to do that with your kids. This is why I'm not doing a student video for this one. I'm doing a teacher video for this reason. They probably don't want to get in the habit of just putting answers because that kind of gives them ideas. Anyway, we have an expression here with r's in it. It's subtracting 2 trinomials, and we're looking for the equivalent expression. Now, this is actually pretty easy to do in the calculator if you know to rewrite this as functions. So we're going to write this beginning function. We're going to call it f of r. So some name of a function of r, and then you want to type in your function. Now, I will give you this calculator is the same one Texas has, and it's pretty bad. So that's one of those things those kids are going to have to work with, is just get used to this quirkiness of this calculator, because that will probably discourage some kids. So I highly recommend getting in here with them and let them play and just assure them it's okay. We're all dealing with it. Teachers too have to struggle through this, so it's okay. All right, I'm typing in this entire expression in one row. Wait a minute, that's not 44, that's 4r. All right, I'm going to double check it. Let's see if I can pull it over. 2r squared plus r minus 1 minus 3r squared plus 4r minus 5. Okay, that's good. Now, I do see a parabola in the graph, so the goal is to find a function or an expression that is equivalent. So I'm going to pull this up just a bit, and I'm going to type in some other function name. Let's call it g of r equals, and then let's type in our answer choices. Negative r squared minus 3r plus 4. And you'll see that this parabola is directly on top of the other one. So anytime any problem where the students are asked for an equivalent expression, if the expression has x's in it, they can just type it. They don't have to type a function at all, because the calculator recognizes it as a function of x and graphs it. But if it has anything other than x in the expression, then they will need to create a function of that variable, and then they can graph to compare. So the correct answer here was A. So the next item we're going to look at is item number 7, and luckily that's next. We're given a function of t, and we're looking for the average rate of change. The main thing the kids have to remember, of course, is the average rate of change over an interval is just the slope from the first point to the last point in that interval. So that's all we're going to do, and we're going to pretty much do this all at once in the calculator. I like these, but the kids do have to learn how to do them. So this is how I would teach this. First of all, you're going to type f of t equals, and you're just going to type in this expression. One beautiful thing about this calculator, which I like way more than I do some other brands of calculator, is we aren't forced to always use functions of x or use x's and y's. We can use functions with other variables in there. All right, now you can zoom out if you want to. You can also click on this if you'd like and change your x values to like -7 to 7. Count by ones, add an x. I think I'll take out that one. That looks pretty bad. All right, that looks a little better. There's my vertex. All right, so it says this is gives the height of the ball. What is the average rate of change? Well, let's see. What is it saying? Okay, let me see if I can get that to stop moving around. So I can move this up. All right, I'm looking for the average rate of change over the interval from 0.75 to 1.25. Now, you can do those 2 points and add them to the graph. Let's see if I can try that. 0.75, comma. By the way, this is not necessary. This is the first point in that interval, 0.75, and the y value there was 10. It's showing it in the graph. All right, and then I can do the next point in the interval. This is also not necessary, but I'm going to do it anyway to show you what's happening. So I'm doing f of 1.25, and then I'm labeling that, and it's showing me the values, and I basically need the slope between these 2 points. So for my students, I don't type these. I just type this. I go f of, let's do 1.25, because it's like y2, minus y1, f of 0.75. And then I highlight all of this and hit the divide key. The divide key is right next to the shift key. It's the same one with your question mark. And it'll put all of that on the top. And then I want to do x2 minus x1. So I'll do 1.25 minus 0.75. And so now the slope here is -12. And that's all they have to put in the blank. So you type the function, you can go straight to this. You don't have to put the 2 points. If I'm teaching this in class, I absolutely would put those 2 points. And I may even draw a line to connect them. I may even write an equation of a line to connect them. So, I mean, you could do a lot of things with that. But the only thing they have to do for this item on this test is just do this piece right here. So -12 would go here. So they'll just type -12. All right, the next item I'm going to show you is number 10. So I am going to skip this. I'm not even reading the question, guys, so please do not. I'm not even reading that. All right, so we're doing 10. Now, when I saw this, I was like, dang, you guys have a challenging test. And I would say of all the tests I've worked on, this is my 5th one, my 5th system. Yours is not only the most challenging technologically because your calculator is extremely buggy and difficult to work with. Your text is in the center of the screen, which is a big no-no on these digital tests, so apparently they don't know that. You're supposed to put all your text on one side so the kids have places to put their calculator and their other tools to work on the other side. But on top of that, they just give you a lot of stuff to do, and I know what they're doing. They're trying to avoid questions where the calculator will actually do the problem. I get it. But you know what? There's no way to completely avoid that because I'm about to show you how to do this problem. All right, we're given a linear function f of x. So we're going to type it in. Well, I can't move this. It buggy. See, it doesn't like to be moved around, so it bugs out a lot when you try. So f of x equals -5 divided by 2. Hit the right arrow before you put your x, and then -3. All right, so there we have a line. It says create a linear function g of x so that f of x and g of x has one solution. All right, so I need g of x to equal something that crosses this line. Well, it would be nice, and you know there's really an unlimited amount of lines to put here. I guess that's why it's so challenging. You know, they're like, what? I'd like to go through that point right there. So let me add that point to the graph. Let's see. Let's do f of, was it -2? Yeah, -2, 2. Let's add -2, 2 to the graph. So -2, 2, and we'll label it. All right, I want G to go through that. So I'm just going to do y equals 2, or g of x equals 2. Let's see if that works. And it does. And so now g of x and h of x intersect. They have one solution, that's that one point. And so now all I have to do is say x equals -2, because that's the x values that are the same. So g of x is equal to 2, and x equals -2. And that's all there is to it. Now there's an unlimited number of lines. They could put a slope on this line. You know, I've got a slope of 0, but they could put a slope of something else and find another point. But might as well keep it simple. It didn't tell us anything specific about this function, so we'll just go with a horizontal line. All right, the next one I'm going to do is 11, so let's click next. We're given a quadratic equation. We do have some limitations here, but this one's not too bad. First, the limitation is you cannot type an implicit equation like 0 equals. We can't put that 0 equals. If we do, it's going to give us an error message, but you can just put the parabola. If you just type this function, you have your parabola. I mean, it will graph a function of x. So what value of x is the solution? Well, wherever the parabola is equal to 0, it's going to be on the x-axis. So you just click on the x-axis. The y-coordinates are 0 at -1 and 4. So 4 was the only correct option. So that one's pretty straightforward. And then 13 is the next one. So I'm just going to pick something here. I'll just put a number in there because I've got to put something to pass it. All right, this one I'm going to use a table to do. We're given functions and we're modeling a population. And so there's a few things you want to tell your kids here. The big one is don't type commas in your numbers in the calculator. It doesn't know what you're doing. So let me try to get this to stop bugging out. There we go. All right, I'm going to type in the first answer choice. And we will be switching these out. Hold on, I got to pull this over. All right. Let's type in f of t is equal to 1.025 t. And hopefully you know this was an exponential, and you'd probably just skip this one, but I'm going to do it anyway to show you. It's really easy to check them all anyway. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, anytime it talks about exponential growth or decay, is use a table. So you'll click the plus sign and you'll add the table, and you always want to start at 0, or I should say usually. Sequences are the only exception. But in this case, we're talking about population growth and we want to know the starting year. So I just put a few years and I want to go every year. So 0 through 4 is plenty. And then for the y1, I'm going to take this out because I don't really want a y. I want f of x1. Now, the important thing to remember here is you can't use t. There is no t in this table. You have to use x1 because the first column has an x1 in it. And then it will substitute in those values. And so the question is it growing by 2.3% annually? And clearly it is not. If you'll notice, it's barely growing at all. It only went up 4 people in 4 years. It's growing about a person a year. Or 2 people a year, not 2%. So the first one's not going to work. The second one's not going to work either. I'm just going to skip that one. And I'm going to go ahead and go to the third one. So f of t equals, so we need 53,792, no comma, parentheses 1.025, shift 6 makes an exponent, and then put your t. And see, all it did is it just updated the table. I don't have to recreate that. It just changes the values out to match. So the population, does it increase 2.5%? Well, the kids can manually see if it's done that. One thing I like to do is just take the populations and actually see what happens when you increase 2.5%. So let's start with the 53,792, and if we multiply that by 2.5%, that's 2.5 divided by 100. then we get this amount. So that means it should have gone up 1,344.8, and that is what it did. So let's show that here. So 53792 plus 1344.8, and that number is matching this number in the table. So let me pull this up so you can see it. See, in the table, it went to 55,136.8, and that's exactly what happens when we add that back. Normally on these types of items on the test, by process of elimination, they can usually get the answer without having to do that step right there. Because, normally two of them will be decreasing or two of them will be linear. They'll have a couple they can throw out, and then there's only one of the two remaining that are reasonable. So if they just make the table and look at the numbers, the probability is greatly improved that they will get that item right. All right, the next item we're going to do is item number 17. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to answer the question. So the answer was C. All right, for this one, you have to put something in here. So I'm just going to put numbers in here. I hate that. I know you would probably just cringe if your kids started doing this, but I'm just going to put something in there so I can go on. They force you to answer it, which is, I get the adaptive test thing, but you're going to have a lot of kids that just get frustrated. We're not doing this one either, 16. So I'm just picking an answer. Here's the one we want to look at. So a function is shown. For what value of t is it increasing and positive? I love this because you can restrict your domain in this calculator, which makes this actually a really simple problem. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to put this function in just like it is. So h of t equals negative t squared plus 10t minus 16. And I want to know for what intervals is it both positive and increasing. Well, here's what you're going to do. You're actually going to stay on the same row with your function, and you're going to put in curly brackets. These are right above your enter key if you look on the right side of your keyboard. And you're going to type inside the curly brackets these answers because these are your domains. So you'll do t is less than 5. And what it will do is it will restrict this graph to contain only the part it's talking about. So that's all you'll see in the graph. So here we have our function. So the question is the interval both positive and increasing? Well, it is increasing. It's going up the whole time. But it's not just positive, because if you look down here, see these values? These are negative. You can click and drag on the graph and show the kids they can do it themselves. These y values are negative. So it is definitely not both positive and increasing. So the next one we're going to put is t is greater than 8. So you put t is greater than 8. And now I'm over here. Zoom out, see a little bit more of it. These are all negative values and it's decreasing. So that one's a terrible one. So we're not going to use that one. Let's do C. 2 is less than t is less than 5. And this was the right answer. Notice all the y values are up here, and they are over, see it's undefined at 0, but see all these values are positive. The graph is only going up, so the correct answer was C. The next item we're looking at is 18. Oh, I love this one. And I bet most people don't even do this one. It's really unfortunate. If you are not using sliders in your class, you kind of need them. To do this item is about the only way you're going to get it right. So I'm going to show you how to do sliders with this item. So the first thing you want to do is type in square root, and you can use the keypad to get the square root, but I type SQRT, and that makes the symbol for square root. Let's put a G underneath there, then go out from under your radical by using your right arrow key before you hit the plus sign. And then type SQRT, and we'll type H. And then you can add the sliders all. And then I'm going to come down here and type the other one, SQRT G, and then out from under the radical, Shift 8 is multiply, and then SQRT H. All right, and then I'm going to move this up. I'm going to put these together, and then I'm going to try to pull this thing down. So the goal is to get the first one to be irrational and to get the second one to be rational. So hopefully they know rational is nice. We are limited. We know G is less than H. So we're going to click on this little -10 right here. And I want you to say from 1 to 10 with a step of 1. Do the same thing for your H. We want it to go from 1 to 10 with a step of 1. And we know H is bigger than G, so you might want to just start at 2 for H because you can't use 1. You can't use 1 because H is bigger than G and they're both integers, so they'd have to be 1 and 2 at least. So I'll just start at 2 for H. All right, and it says step of 2, but I don't want to do that. Let me go back. Sorry. I want a step of 1. It switched that for me. All right, so here's what they'll do. They'll slide these until the first one is irrational and the second one is rational. But I can't use 6 and 6 because they have to be, H has to be bigger than G. So if H has to be bigger than G, let's leave this down here at 1 for now. Is there a way to let it be a 1? No, if I do 1 and 9, they're both pretty. Let's do 8, 7, 6. Let me move this up so you can see what's going on. I don't think that's going to work. Let's do G is 2 and let's try some things. I think this one's going to work. There it is. So if G is 2, G, square root of G plus square root of H is definitely irrational. That's bad. But the product square root of G times square root of H is rational. So G needs to be 2 and H needs to be 8. So let me move this up a little bit. So here you're going to type a 2, and here you're going to type an 8. So now you know about sliders. If you're not using them, there are quite a few items actually on this test where these sliders can help. And let me show you another one. We are on 18, so we're going to go next to 19. And we are given this expression, and we are going to use this calculator. So let's type in 64x squared minus 196. Now you'll notice I did not type h of x, g of x, f of, I didn't type any of that. I just typed that expression. Because it has x in it and no other variable, it assumes that it is a function. Now my y values have got to go way down to negative 196. So I clicked on the wrench. I'm going to do negative 200 to 200. And for my step, I'll count by 20. And I think that's going to work for me. Let's just call this x and y, and I'll leave it alone. All right, this looks better. Ooh, maybe I don't need to count by 20. I don't know. Let me just take out this step. It kind of makes it look better if you don't use those steps most of the time. All right, this looks great. So the question is, what form could this be written in? So basically, you're going to type these answers in exactly as they appear. And the beauty of this is it will create sliders for this. And then the kids can play with these sliders and see if they can make it fit. Well, if I do A, it's going to make this steep and flat. And if I do B, it's going to move it left and right. And neither one of those is going to move it down. So there's no way to make that one work. So I know not to do that one. The same thing happens on the other one. If I do answer choice B, same problem. I can make this steeper and flatter. I can move it left and right, but I cannot move it down. So I'm not going to be able to use that one. So let's go to answer choice C. And this one is AX plus B times AX minus B. My bad. This one should be a minus sign. All right, now when I do A, same problem. I can make it steeper and flatter, but when I do B, look what happens. I can move it down. So I can just continue. And by the way, when you run out of room, it's no problem. Just type over the number. I'll go down to negative 50. Ooh, I think I went too far. Let's do negative 20. That's still too far. I think it was 14 if I remember right. Yeah. Minus 14, and then I can make this steeper. Yeah. And so I definitely can make this one work. The answer was C. I can write it in this form and make it match up. All right, and then the last one I'm going to show you today is item number 21. So 20, we're going to just skip that one, but you have to put something up here or it's going to yell at you. So I'm just going to pick 3 and put them up there. All right, so this one we have a function and the minimum value is 80. Create an equation. Again, we're going to use sliders for this one. So let's start with f of x is equal to x squared plus bx plus 144. And then we're going to add the slider for b. And then we're going to create an equation. No. Yeah, well, if I can see what I'm doing. I'm missing a point here somewhere. Oh, yeah, the minimum value is 80. We'll have to do that in a minute. So let's go ahead and do this form. We'll add some more sliders. So f of x equals, parentheses, x minus h squared plus k, and then add all sliders. All right, so now my goal is to get this red one to have a minimum of 80. I cannot even see 80. So if you want to pull the whole screen down, you can grab it and pull it down. You can zoom out. And right now it's way up there. So I need this B value to change. And you actually can make it a positive value or a negative. I don't think it tells you which one to use. So let's see what it says. B is a real number, so it can be negative or positive. So I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it negative, I think. Yeah. Let's move this further down because right now the y value is 119, and that's not going to be big enough. So let's do negative 20. That's at 44, so it's got to go up from there. Should be right in here. It looks like it's negative 16. So let's try that. I'm getting on that green one. Sorry about that. There it is. 880. So basically, I want this parabola that's green to line up with this one now because the minimum is 80. And that's what I want. So we're making this B a negative 16. And so we're going to move this over to the right. You're actually going to make this 8 to move it to the right 8. And then you got to move it up. And obviously move more than 10. You're going to actually move it to 80. Oops, we didn't like that. There we go. All right, so if we move K all the way up to 80, you see now the minimum on that one is 880. So the correct answer is going to be this expression, but take the H and put 8 and take out the K and put 80. So let's do it. F of x equals, open parentheses, x minus 8, shift 6, put a square, and then plus, and then put the 80. And there we have it. That concludes our training for today on Atlas. Hopefully you've learned some techniques with sliders and functions that may prove helpful when preparing your kids for this algebra end of course exam. If you have any questions about the Desmos graphing calculator or need resources to teach your kids mathematics using technology, be sure to check out my website, technomath.com. Y'all have a great day.